The glass breaks. We say hello to Austin Price, Volquest.com. He joins us every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. And Austin, thank you for the time as always. It is a big week for Tennessee. What do you think about this week? Alabama coming to town and everybody else paying attention to what's happening in Knoxville.
Josh, if you told me a year and a half ago that I'd be sitting here doing all this media all week long and people will be talking about Tennessee's chances to get to Atlanta and Tennessee's chances in the college football playoff, I lost a lot of money, man. 18 months ago, this place was left for dead, and here they are. Even if they lose Saturday, playing, they'll still go, if they beat UT Martin, which they will, and beat Kentucky, which is what they've done for 37 of the last 40 years, they'll go to Athens, Georgia, playing for the East, which is unbelievable. So, to me, Saturday is a real, kind of bonus game for Tennessee. I mean, to me, Tennessee goes in with no pressure. They're not supposed to win, right? Alabama's still the favorite in this game. It's big, bad Alabama. Nick Saban's 15-0 against Tennessee since he's got to Tuscaloosa. It's just Tennessee, to me, outside of Kansas, and, it's right there is the best story in college football. It's remarkable how quickly this thing has shifted around.
Well, I want to get to the game with you as well. I'm sure we'll talk about the matchup and what we'll see on the field. But who might we see in Knoxville with all the attention and everything that's happening this week to the recruiting world? What does it look like in terms of visitors, who Tennessee might be trying to add to the visitor list? Where do things stand right now with a few days to go until the weekend?
What about recruiting, Austin?
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter out there, that Carnell Tate could make it to town. We'll see if he makes it in. Again, best laid plans, right? Kids, plan on making it to campus on Tuesday or Wednesday. They don't always, happen on Friday or Saturday, but either way, there's some hope there. Dante Dowell, running back, is committed to Oregon out of the state of Mississippi, is supposed to be in. Uncommitted guys. You've got, Tamarion Parker coming in. You've obviously, got David Hobbs, the 5-star interior defensive lineman, coming back in again. That's a Tennessee, Bama, Georgia top battle. Maybe Ohio State getting in there as the fourth team. But, he will be back in Knoxville for the second time in a handful of weeks. And, just a lot of 24s, a lot of 25s coming back. Most of the recruiting class, Sean Davion Bradley will be here. Most of the commits will be back in town. This is a big recruiting weekend for Josh Heupel and company. And, again, atmosphere will be spectacular.
Austin, it's about time for a commit around here. It's been a while. Well, give us the forecast, man. I want you to go weatherman on us here, Austin, on Josh and Swain. Man, can you give us a forecast? Maybe when we may see a commit?
Are you talking about for the 23 class or just in general?
Anyone. It could be the 32 class. I don't care, man. Can we get a commit?
Listen to this impatience, by the way,
I want to commit.
Unreal.
I want to commit.
Unreal.
Mazio Bennett, wide receiver out of the state of South Carolina. He's at 2024. He will announce on Sunday. The Vols are in excellent shape there. But as far as the 23s, I just don't see anybody doing anything anytime soon. Khalifa Keith committed to Kentucky. Tennessee's yet to offer. I think that offer's coming. Dante Dowell. Those guys, I think they're going to take a while before if you could potentially flip them. They're going to they're not committing anytime soon. Same thing with Tamarion Parker. Same thing with, David Hobbs. I think you're looking at late November for any of the 23s that you could potentially flip or uncommitted guys that you could get to commit. So that's kind of where it's at. I just think that, the 23s, you're at this point, you're going to take your time, take your visits, and try to do something late November, early December. And then the 24s, like I said, MJ Bennett, Tennessee's in a great spot with. And Tennessee's in a great spot with a lot of the in-state 24s. But again, long ways to go for a lot of those kids, and Tennessee just has to continue to build, on what they've done in recruiting to this point.
Austin Price is with us from Volquest.com. He joins us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, this matchup, this game on the field, where do you start the conversation in terms of what Tennessee needs to do to get a win, to get to 6-0 and end this losing streak against Alabama?
Well, I think Tennessee ultimately needs to, be able to do what they've been doing offensively, which is, get to their tempo, push the pace, and, have success on early downs. When you can win first and second down, Josh, and you get the tempo going, the defenses, no matter how good they are, they struggle with that. And so I think that's the biggest thing, for Tennessee. And then, defensively, it's not allow Alabama to have cheap yards, cheap points, tackle better in the secondary, no ripping at the football over and over again like, Kamal Hadden did against Florida and allowed that cheap touchdown. Alabama's going to make plays no matter who the quarterback is. They'll make plays Saturday. I mean, they're a good football team with good football players. The biggest thing is not allowing them to have big plays and cheap yards and points, in my opinion. Tennessee is playing really well up front on the defensive side of the ball. What Rodney Garner is getting out of those defensive linemen is really, really impressive, and they just want to continue that upward trajectory.
I thought Tennessee Prime this week was really good because you had two guys that playing some really good football that will be counted on to play probably just as good, if not better, this weekend against Alabama, and that is Javonte Spraggins and that is Omar Thomas. What can you say about the trenches and how it's improved, not just on defensive side of the ball with Rodney Garner, but offensively too? I mean, look at a guy like Cooper Mays, who is known as just the little brother of Cade, but now it's going to be Cade, just the older brother of Cooper, because Cooper is making a name for himself behind, this offensive line behind him with the tempo and creating holes for the running back. So this is a big game for the O-line too.
Well, it is. And then, Cooper with a win Saturday would, I think, become the first Mays in his immediate family. Now, his uncle, Michael Frog, was a part of some teams that beat Alabama. But his dad and his brother, I do not believe, have ever beaten Alabama. And so that would be a feather in his cap in terms of that. So, Cooper's really playing well. He stayed healthy this year, which goes a long way, which means Jerome Carvin staying at left guard. They've had very little movement on that offensive line, which goes back to continuity and, continued success, because when you're not having to move around a lot, I mean, they did Saturday when, Gerald Mincey couldn't go, but for the most part, it's been the same group from game 1 through game 5, especially outside of left tackle. It has been the same group from, left guard, center, right tackle have all remained the same. And Darnell Wright has been really playing well. I got a cool feature up on Volquest right now with him talking about, his decision to stick around and not be like the rest of those guys from that 2019 class that left. I mean, only 8 of those 23 remain, and he's one of them, and he's playing really, really well, and he's just kind of a steady force on that right side. But, when you look at Spraggins, Darnell, Cooper, and Carvin, it's been real impressive to see the continuity to this point.
You think we see a stuffed animal, a stuffed elephant being held by Javonte Spraggins this week after the game?
I mean, here's the thing. I said this on our podcast when we taped it earlier. I mean, I said on this show that the feeling around Knoxville heading into the Florida game was confidence mixed with fear, right? I mean, because just of, 16 of the last 17 and all that. Tennessee got over the hump. I don't sense any kind of fear this week. It's confidence. I wouldn't call it cockiness, but I think a lot of Vol fans are talking about, winning. I mean, there's been plenty of teams that have been like where Tennessee's out against Alabama the last 15 years, and Alabama really enjoys taking their soul, coming in there into their house, all the hoopla going around, and then ripping it out. And so I think, Tennessee does a nice job of not getting out over their skis. This team does, Josh Heupel does, about staying grounded. And so, yeah, I mean, you heard them last night. Like, we taped Tennessee Prime. What did I say? I said, Swain, are you are you taking a cigar to the stadium just in case? And Big O and Sprague, did you hear that? Just in case. I mean, like it was like just totally put off that I said just in case. And, I think that they're driven to keep this going. And so there's a real pride factor. But there's a different feel this week than Florida week because I think, you're 2 wins further down the road than you were heading into that Florida game. 2 quality wins, Florida at home, LSU on the road. Tennessee just as a program, whether the players, coaches, fans, there's just a level of confidence, and it all comes back to one guy, and that's Josh Heupel. He embraced this place 18 months ago, but he embraces the moment, and I think that goes a long way. He doesn't shy away from it. He rolls with it. He'll be on game day and who knows what else Saturday morning. I mean, it's a thing, and I think that the players on this team, they have gravitated towards that mindset, and they are embracing it as well.
I don't even want to bring this up, Austin, the week of the Alabama game, but I just want you to shut this down like I shut it down, a couple segments ago. But there's been some whispers here and there on certain shows and certain content creators, trying to develop a little bit of buzz. OU stinks right now, and Josh Heupel got things rolling. So people are trying to put 2 and 2 together and trying to just grasp at straws here. Let these people know, AP. That's not
First off, anybody talking about that is silly because Oklahoma has a huge contract with Brent Venables. They're not firing him after 4 or 5 games. Like people fired you after 3 years. Like unless you're just and maybe in the what did Chad Morris make it 3 or was he only 2? Either way, like you have to be just a train wreck. Train wreck. I just don't see that. Oklahoma's going to be just fine. A lot of that is, changing the culture there at Oklahoma, just like, Josh Heupel was changing the culture here. You have to kind of slow down and let it roll. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When Oklahoma came open last year, and people threw Josh Heupel's name out before they hired Brent Venables.
Yep.
Josh Heupel looked at me and said, "Why do people think I'm going to leave here?" I said, "Because it's your alma mater." And he goes, "But do you realize what Knoxville, Tennessee is? Do you realize what Rocky Top is?" And he was very genuine. Like he holds this place in high regard. So even if 3 years down the line, Oklahoma made a move and they made a change and they wanted to hire Josh Heupel, I don't think it's some slam dunk he rolls back to his alma mater. He's got a really good here, and he knows it. He loves this place. I'm not going to say he's never going to leave because I think that would be silly too, but I think people really forget how special Tennessee is. People have been prisoners of 15 years of bad for so long and finding ways to lose any way imaginable that they forget, when this place is going, it's really, really good. And he knows that. He's seen that firsthand. And so I think that ultimately, it's something that you just don't even think about right now. I mean, Oklahoma's not making a move on Brent Venables. Anybody that's suggesting that is just, I don't know. I don't understand the logic.
Thank you. Don't hear nothing about Oklahoma. That's we put that to bed right now. Don't bring up Oklahoma at all unless you want to make fun of them.
Yep, it's Alabama week. You can focus on that, and they are, we know, at Volquest.com. You can read his work, his colleagues' work at Volquest. Austin Price joining us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler there at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.